Hello, 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 and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. My name is Celina. I am your health and wealth coach, and we are here today to talk about a subject that's near and dear to my heart. But first, as you're joining me, just let me know that you're here, where you're joining me from. I love to see where everyone is, that you can hear me okay. And if you're joining on the live, drop a comment live. And if you're watching on the replay, let me know with a replay and I'll be sure to stop by and say hi. If you have any questions for me about anything that I discuss during Wellness Wednesday or anything on my lives or my page, just drop me a comment or shoot me a message and I will be sure to answer it. As comments appear, I will try to get to them as well. But first, a little background on why this topic is so important to me. And that is how our gut can affect really much everything else in our lives, from your health to your weight, to your mood, to your skin. Everything really starts with good gut health. And it's not one of those things that people really talk about or even know if it's an issue. I certainly didn't. I probably about 7-8 years ago now, I had horrible gut health and I had no idea. I just knew that I didn't feel well and that I had terrible brain fog. I'd wake up kind of in a funk, no energy, just kind of slugging through the day. And my main objective every morning was just to kind of make it through the day. I was sad all the time. I was gaining weight and I didn't know why, because I had a very low calorie diet. I mean, I was eating maybe 1,200 calories a day. And, I did things like Zumba. I was somewhat active, but I was stressed out. I had, like I said, horrible brain fog, horrible headaches. My skin was awful. I had cystic acne everywhere. And it was not a good time. I was not happy with myself. I didn't enjoy the person staring back at me in the mirror. And it was tough, but I just thought that that's how things were. After you have a baby, your body changes and you gain weight. And I just thought that was life. And I didn't realize that it doesn't have to be that way. And that it really all was linked to the state of my gut health. So once I healed my gut using some of the tips I'm going to share with you today, and I've really made it a priority in my life to maintain good gut health, all of these things changed. My skin got clearer, the depression, I was on anti-depression medication, anti-anxiety medication, anti-depression medication, a slew of prescription medications. Working in the healthcare field, it was easy to get medications prescribed to me. Not that it's difficult for people to do that, but I was working with all of the doctors that were readily available to me. So I have eliminated all of that, and I maintain my health without any prescriptions, any vaccinations. I haven't had a flu vaccine or anything like that in years since I worked for the hospital and they made you. And I just take premium supplements. That's it. Nobody in my house has been sick even, really, except for maybe the sniffles in years. I couldn't even tell you how long, and I have been able to maintain my weight during that time. And this is why. So stick with me. I am going to not only go over how your gut health affects your weight, your hunger, any medications that you're taking, how that might be affecting it, inflammation and your immune system, and then of course 4 simple ways that you can get your gut healthy again. So let's get into it. And then when you join on, if you're joining midstream, just pop me a little wave hello and let me know that you're here. So number 1, with digestion, well, let's back up a little bit. What is gut bacteria? What are we talking about? Your microbiome is your intestines, is your gut. We we have a system that's a tube system, right? So everything that comes into our body that we take in through our mouth goes through your intestines and through this microbiome. And it, not only your microbiome, but your entire body contains trillions of bacteria. That's why you might hear people say we are more bacteria than human, because we have more bacteria cells than we do human genome cells. So trillions of bacteria, and most of these are located in your intestines. So that's what we talk about when we say the microbiome is your intestine. So the gut bacteria are these microorganisms. They live on your body and your skin. And if you are about, you know, say 150 pounds, you probably have about 40 trillion of these bacterial cells in and on your body. So there's many different types and strains of bacteria. We're not really going to get into that, but just know that your gut and your microbiome produce vitamins and neurotransmitters, which are some of which are hormones. So that's, you know, kind of the root of this and why it is so important and affects so many things, because those trigger a lot of systems in our body. They start the process. So how they affect how your food is digested is quite incredible. Your gut bacteria lines your intestines, and when they come into contact with the food you eat, it affects how your body absorbs nutrients and how it stores and uses the energy from that food. So if you have what I used to have, which was a leaky gut, your gut wall has, you know, I mean, it's not a solid surface. So, hey Kim, so your gut wall has what they call these tight junctions, and a healthy gut is like this. A leaky gut is like this. So food particles get through your gut wall, and the gut bacteria don't have as much surface area to interact with your food, which twofold affects absorption. Number one is because the food particles will get through, and number two, because the gut bacteria doesn't have as much surface contact with the food because it's passing through it and not along it. So you will not have nutrient absorption as well as somebody with a healthy gut if you have leaky gut. And the gut bacteria are at a lower, when you are at a lower diversity of gut bacteria, this affects also how your body will absorb the nutrients and store the energy and then use that energy. And we all know all the cells in your body use energy. How efficiently you use energy determines how quickly you will burn fat, things like burn fat, and use the nutrients. So you can see how this can affect you being healthy and losing weight. All of the nutrient absorption that happens in our gut really does affect how healthy that we are, because that's the only place that you are getting, whether it's through food or through supplementation, you're absorbing it all in your digestive system. So how well you absorb those nutrients is key. So that's why one person who eats a certain diet compared, actually they did a twin study. So twins were studied, and one was more obese than the other. And that person had a leaky gut, and their diet wasn't as good, and they observed the gut bacteria between the two, and they showed how the diversity in the person who was physically more healthy was different from their twin who was overweight and had a leaky gut. So that's how it affects the absorption and the energy use. We'll get a little bit more into energy use in a minute. Now, your body's immune system is activated from your microbiome. It's the first line of defense. So you know your immune system is what fights infection. And when inflammation occurs, it is your body's first response to something that it determines is, is harmful to your body. So when you have a leaky gut and those food particles get through and get into your bloodstream, your body is saying, hey, that's a toxin in here. We need to, surround it and fight it and get rid of it. And that is causing inflammation in your system. This is what causes things like skin irritation. For me, certainly it did. Skin irritation, pain, and IBS kind of symptoms. And I had that awful. It was awful. And it can contribute to insulin resistance. So that inflammatory response is a normal response for your body. However, it might be overactive because of your gut bacteria and the health of your microbiome in your gut. So like we talked about with the gut bacteria diversity, those markers that when they do studies on this, they have markers that indicate the diversity. There were higher levels of inflammatory markers in people who were found to be obese or overweight or have a high diet of sugary foods. So they have more of a tendency to have that inflammatory response when it's not like a normal immune response. And that inflammation, like I said, can show itself in all kinds of ways. For me, it was skin issues. I know for a lot of people it's skin issues, but it can also be things like joint pain and IBS, like I mentioned, and a number of other things. It'll come to me. And if you have any of these things, can I get to the point? I'm going through how the gut bacteria in your body affects how you gain weight, how you lose weight, and how you're hungry, inflammation, and medication. So we just talked about how it can affect your hunger. Your body's not absorbing the nutrients that it needs, therefore you aren't getting the most out of the food that you're eating, so you're going to want to eat more. In addition to that, those chemicals, and this is what I was getting to, chemicals that control your appetite, such as leptin and ghrelin, are also affected by the diversity of your gut bacteria. So when you have a diversified gut, you are going to have more short-chain fatty acids, which are the chemicals that affect certain species of gut bacteria that break down things like fiber and sugar. And if you have a less diverse gut bacteria, you might produce more of these things that are ghrelin-like, that creates hunger. So in essence, you will eat more, but you're going to be more hungry when you have a leaky gut or when you don't have a diverse gut bacteria. So the things that can help this. So what can we do so that this doesn't happen? Now, I didn't mention antioxidants. Your body also produces antioxidants and uses antioxidants from food, and that also helps your body digest certain foods, like things that are higher in sugar, and helps your immune system maintain its level of health. So we all know, like, fruits and vegetables are good for you. It's the phytonutrients in them, the antioxidants, that's protecting your body and maintaining that healthy environment. My cats are knocking stuff over. Okay, so the worst foods for your gut are things like the worst foods are sugary foods, artificial sweeteners, foods that contain unhealthy fats, which are fats that are like highly processed, like vegetable oil, and even some of the peanut oils that are not produced in a more healthy way, that are highly processed mainly. Artificial sweeteners such as aspartame and saccharin, those actually contribute to high blood sugar, though there was this huge thing with low sugar, no sugar, zero sugar. All of those things actually affect the beneficial bacteria in your intestines and can cause you to gain weight due to all the reasons why I just mentioned. Now, you want to look for things that are rich in fiber, that are phenol-rich foods such as green tea and dark chocolate and red wine. Fermented foods, which are live foods such as kombucha and fermented yogurt, sauerkraut, kefir, those things you should eat on a daily basis. And the 4 things that you can do, 4 ways to keep your gut bacteria healthy or to get it healthy again, is to supplement or eat more fiber-rich foods. probably this is the number one thing that most adults don't do, is have fiber, a healthy level of fiber in their diet. I just started supplementing with fiber because it is difficult to get fiber in your diet. Now, there are a lot of fiber-rich foods, but it depends on how you cook things like fibrous vegetables. You can actually, those vegetables can actually lose some of the fiber-rich qualities. That insoluble fiber that I mentioned, there are certain bacteria that digest fiber better than others. So eat more fiber is probably like the number one thing that you can do to help with not only weight loss, but for healthy gut bacteria. It helps you feel more full, and it helps kind of clean out your system as well. Number two is to consume less sugar and to choose foods that have real sugars in them. So there are, they say now that like the average person consumes like 4 times as much sugar as we used to 50 years ago. And it's because sugar is pretty much in all processed foods. It hides in a variety of names, probably about 30 different names. And I did a post on this not too long ago, all the different names. But it's anything that has a syrup in it or is, I'll have to find the post. I'll list it here, the different names that it goes by, but it's not going to say just sugar. It's going to have all different other kinds of like maltose and those types of names. So it's sneaky, it hides. Number 3 is to eat probiotic rich foods and or supplement with pre and probiotics. The prebiotics are the food for the bacteria, and those are fiber rich foods, insoluble fiber. Probiotic foods are those live foods, those fermented foods, things like yogurt and kefir and kombucha. And if those things, either you do not like them or you don't have them available to you, then I highly suggest supplementing with high quality pre and probiotic supplements. And the fourth and final suggestion for healthy gut is to move, to get some sort of exercise into your day as much as you can. I suggest at least 15 minutes of high intensity interval training, something that's going to get your blood flowing, your heart thumping, and make you sweat a little bit. This is just a matter of getting your body in a state of repair. So like you go through like a rest and repair cycle, you have to exercise and get your body in a little bit of a stressful state, but a good sort of stressful state, so it can go into that rest and repair mode. And exercise is the best way to do that. And it can be anything. Go outside and take a brisk walk, run with your kids, run with your dog. It doesn't have to be going to the gym, but I do have a whole page of YouTube videos on 15-minute body weight or minimal exercise series that you can do at home or in the gym. So these ways to keep your gut bacteria healthy will not only help you lose weight, help you maintain your hunger. If you're always hungry all the time and you don't know why, it could be because your gut bacteria. Now, I didn't mention medications. However, if you have taken antibiotics or if you eat food that is processed, you need to know that there's a heavy reliance on antibiotics in the food industry because they use antibiotics to treat livestock. So not all meats are created equal. Going for chicken that is not treated with antibiotics is key, but antibiotics is just what it sounds like. It is against biotic, bacteria. It wipes out all of the bacteria indiscriminately. So if you have had antibiotics in the last 6 months, your bacteria, your good and bad bacteria in your gut has been completely, wiped out. So you need to restore it. And that is going to take some supplementation along with all of the things that I just mentioned. Now, there are some reasons why you should take antibiotics, but I know from working in the healthcare industry for 20 years that there's a lot of things that antibiotics are prescribed for that they don't necessarily need to be prescribed for. So I would caution and maybe get a second opinion as far as if you do actually need antibiotics. Not everything is a bacterial infection, which is what antibiotics should be prescribed for. And if you don't get a test from your doctor to see whether or not you have a bacterial infection, then I would question it, because some things are viral and an antibiotic isn't going to do anything for a viral infection. And if you're just sick, you don't necessarily need antibiotics if you just have like the sniffles. Number one, it hasn't been proven to really shorten the length of a cold that much. It really just quells those cold symptoms. However, in my case, like I said, I haven't been sick, except for just like the sniffles, in years, in probably 8 years, and neither has my husband or my child. And I am 100% sure and confident that is because we have a healthy family biome as well as individual microbiomes. So, hi Bonnie, how are you? So if you, or Carla, so if you didn't know that you share biota with your family, and that includes your pets, you do have a family biome as well as an individual microbiome. So bacteria is shared, you know, through the skin, through your air, through all different ways of touches, as well as with the food that you eat. And I have a shopping bag that I use, a reusable shopping bag, and it says, "I like my food dirty." And that is from Lucky's Market, but that is because the soil that food is grown in, you know, speaking mostly of vegetables, the soil that food is grown in has its own microbes. And those are good for the fruits and vegetables, and they are good for you as long as there's not a bunch of pesticides on the fruits and vegetables that you're consuming. So if you can get fruits and vegetables from a local farmer's market, I know it's winter, so might not be that easy, but when it is available to you, just rinse them off. Like my grandmother would always just kind of like knock off lettuce and mushrooms, and you would eat it and you would kind of like be crunchy because there'd be soil in it. But there's a reason for that, and it's because that dirt has its own microbes in it that are actually beneficial. All of that good bacteria that I've been talking about. So if you have any questions about anything that I discussed here today, please let me know. Drop a comment, and I hope this was helpful for all of you. I'd love to hear from you, and let me know if you'd like to see more of these kinds of educational lives here on The Habit Doctor. Thank you for joining me. Have a blessed rest of your day.